welcome to the Prodigal Blonde, Unfiltered podcast with me, Andrea Logan. You guys, I am so excited for today's guest. If you are a fan of WWE, you know who she is. She's a world famous WWE ring announcer, keynote speaker, vocalist, and award nominated host. Lilian empowers her audience to step into their greatness and master arena level confidence. Everybody welcome our today's guest, Lilian Garcia. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that introduction. That's awesome.
Yes. Wow. Quite impressive. And it is, I'm so honored to just have you here, share your story. And we were talking before that you are an open book, so you are in good company. So if anybody living under a rock that doesn't know you and your upbringing and how you got into the WWE, share a little bit about your background and your story.
All right. So in a nutshell, I was raised in Madrid, Spain. My dad was in the army. So he was a lieutenant colonel. He worked for the American embassy there. And actually, Spanish was my first language. And I learned English when I was 5. I had a little tag here that said all I could say was hello and goodbye in English. That was it. So I've come a long ways. But when you learn at such a young age, you don't get an accent, which is why a lot of people don't think I even speak Spanish. And but yet when I switched to speaking Spanish, I don't have an accent there either. So it's been very helpful, actually. But I moved to the States when I was, I was here when I was from 3 months old till I was 1. I was in South Carolina. And then after about 8, when I was 8, we came back to South Carolina. And that's where I went to college. And after college, I ended up going to New York. And then the audition came for WWE. And at the time, it was called WWF, right? World Wildlife Fund. Or World Wrestling Federation. I thought they meant World Wildlife Fund when they called me to the audition because I couldn't see myself in wrestling. I watched as a kid. My dad and I would be screaming at the TV. Dad even took me to the Township Auditorium and I got to see Andre the Giant and Ric Flair. And it was just so much fun. But I was like, me in wrestling? And he was like, no, it's something to do with the broadcast team. So I went ahead, I took some advice that I would love to share because it's helped me in many aspects of my life. And that is, he said, go to the audition, you never know.
Yes.
And it's like, it cost me an afternoon, right? And so I went, and I also, there was 2 very important things that I did along the way, because I took a train ride from New York to Stanford. Stanford is where their headquarters are. And I was like, okay, God, allow me to do my best. I don't want to not get it because I thought that it wasn't right for me. So I was just kind of like willy-nilly not caring about it, like really allow me to do my best here. And then the second piece is after the audition, I said, God, if it's meant to be, make it obvious. If it's not meant to be, make it obvious. So I was just really looking for that obvious sign either way. And I've used that in so many things.
Yes.
So when I did the audition and it went really well, and I knew it went really well, and I was really scared because I was about to sign a year's contract with a manager for music because I always loved music. And I was like, well, is this deviating? Is this like really in God's path? And so I was a little confused, but when they offered it to me, they were like, hey, we'd like to try you out for 2 to 3 months and you could quit at any time. That's the obvious. I had nothing to lose. So I did. And here I am 26 years later. It's been amazing. And I've gotten to sing on the show too. So many times.
So you've been in the ring for 26 years.
Well, I started 26 years ago. I left in 2016 after my dad got sick. I stepped away. In 2019, I then went to the PFL, which was Professional Fighters League in MMA. And I did that for 4 years. I stepped away from that 2023. And then WWE called me back last year in 2024. So it hasn't been like a consecutive 26 years being there. But I'm just saying I started 26 years and here I am 26 years later still like somehow in this job, and just it's been amazing. And even this past weekend, I did something that I had never done before, and that was completely announce the show in Spanish, like all my ring announcements. So I was like, wow, this is wild that here I am 26 years later, they're still challenging me. And I got to do it when we did the first ever Worlds Collide, which was WWE, NXT, and the luchadors from AAA coming together for the first time and having me announce the whole show in Spanish.
Oh my gosh. So I grew up with WWF as well, with two brothers. We had on same thing, the ring, all the characters, everything. So when you were in college and you auditioned for this?
Yeah, no, after college, I went to New York. So I was working in New York. I was working as a receptionist for a while just to get a job in New York City, trying to pay the bills. I was also working as a cocktail waitress on the weekend. During the night. So I'd work at the investment firm during the day. Sometimes during the night, I would work as a cocktail waitress. And on the weekends, I would sing at a Spanish restaurant. So I was holding 3 jobs together to pay the bills. And, you know, you do what you got to do, right? Like if you really want it, you just got to hustle. You got to work for it. And then I just remember leaving the investment firm because I got a 14-piece orchestra. The guy that owned it saw me at the Spanish restaurant, came and offered me a job to sing at this, beautiful orchestra that we sang like 50s and 60s songs. And then all of a sudden that was like during dinner. And then all of a sudden we hit the current pop, like all of these mega gala affairs. Even Michael Bolton came up and sang with us. And like, we had all these celebrities that would be there from, oh my gosh, I can't even name, there were so many. And it was just like at the St. Regis or at the Plaza, like all of the main places in New York. And, but then while I was doing that, I went ahead and I signed up for like acting and hosting, that kind of stuff, classes at Weiss Barron. And that's how I got the agent. And then the agent led me to the audition.
Okay, that makes sense. So when God made it very obvious, and he did, and you realized, okay, I'm in my element, right? And that world is a and then I just watched a recent documentary about Vince McMahon. So that world is, So, okay. Side note, Sting the wrestler. I don't know if you announced when he played my love interest in a film that I did years ago, but he loved Jesus. And I loved him. Steve, what's his real name? There's multiple. Is it Steve? Steve. Yeah. Steve Borden, right?
Yes, I believe that's what it is. You know what it is? It's so funny. I always told people, don't tell me your real names because I don't want to be, because it happened. This happened to me. I always called CM Punk Phil backstage. And so when I went to announce him, all I could think about was Phil. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this guy's name? Thank God I looked at the screen and it said CM Punk. And then from then on, I said, nobody, I do not want to know your real name. I am not going to call you by your real name because of that.
Yes. So he was a sweetheart. He loved God. He shared his testimony. This was probably in 2012, 13 when I was in a film with him. But in that world, there's so much toxicity and there's a lot of drug abuse and a lot of alcoholism and addiction, right? I mean, it's a very fascinating world. But how was that with your personal walk with God and kind of navigating all of that? You know,
luckily when I got there, I didn't see any of that. Like if that was going on, it was totally hidden from me. And I wasn't into drugs and alcohol, so it just never affected me. My whole thing, I think my biggest struggle was getting accepted because I was like the first person to come from outside of wrestling. And I also really sucked at my job at the very beginning because I wasn't told that I was told to show up. It was the day after SummerSlam, which is the second biggest pay-per-view. I was asked to start that day. I didn't know anything then, told me anything. I just signed the documents like during the week where I was in Dominican Republic performing. I literally had just signed the documents like days before. I land on Sunday from Dominican Republic. I get on a flight Monday morning. I go to Iowa because the show travels around. We were in Iowa that day. And I get told at 3:30 that I'm going to be replacing the legend, Howard Finkel, who had been at this job for over 20 years. That night, as the brand new ring announcer with zero training. Like, what?
No pressure.
No pressure. Thank God I use, and I say this too, is that first thing that came to my mind was, how do you do this job? By saying how instead of I can't. It changed everything in my life. Had I said, no, 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 I can't do this, my life would look way different right now. So by saying how, they gave me this guy, Tony Chimmel, who was the announcer for SmackDown. He told me exactly what to say. I wrote everything down. I had 45 minutes to get ready. And then I watched him do the 4 preliminary matches before we went live on the air. And by the way, 14 million people were watching live around the world at that time. Here's the biggest kicker though, is that 20 minutes before we're going live, the guy who sits next to me, Mark Ayton, who was a timekeeper, looks at me like I'm rewriting my cue cards so I could read them. And he was like, you do know you can't use cue cards up there, right? I'm like, you do know this is a bad time for a joke, right? He's like, no, no, no. They don't want this to look like boxing. The executive producer needs you to memorize everything. I'm like, wait, what? Like, how am I supposed to memorize towns, weights, their names? Because I'd fallen out of wrestling, so I didn't even know a lot of these guys' names. How much, they're if they're holding a title, if it is a title, are there rules to the match? Like, there's so many things that go into ring announcing that people don't realize. Plus, you have to have a cadence. So I sounded so awful, and I almost ran. By the way, I think that's another big lesson. Is I looked at the sign, the exit sign, and I was having a full-on panic attack. I was looking at it going, abort the mission. Get me out of here. Nobody knows me. I'm just going to bolt out of here before I make a fool out of myself in front of 14 million people. And man, God kept me in my seat, because all of a sudden I remembered 2 really big occasions in my life when I was in the swim team and when I also was live on the air as a radio host, and I was thrown into those jobs and how I got through those jobs. So basically I took the tips from that and applied it to that night, got through that night, memorized everything. So people started seeing that I really care. And little by little, I started winning them over. But that was my biggest challenge, was really winning over the superstars, and knowing that I wasn't there just to make a name for myself. Like, I genuinely respect them as athletes.
Oh my gosh. So you didn't even have a teleprompter?
No. Somebody thought the other day, when I was trying to memorize all this stuff in Spanish, they're like, well, you'll have your IFB, right? Somebody will tell you this. I'm like, what IFB? Like, I have an earpiece, but that's just so that I could hear myself. My own microphone is in my earpiece just so I don't blow out my voice, just like you do when you're singing. But I don't have anything talking in my ear. I don't have a teleprompter. There's none of that. I don't have a cue card. Like, everything has to be memorized.
And they didn't tell you you had to memorize the stats. He told you 20. Oh my God. That would be so scary. I can only imagine.
That's what I said. I said full on panic attack for a reason. I literally was like sweating. I'm like, I can't do this. At that point, I was telling myself, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. How am I going to do this? Like, it was crazy. And then calm down the last 10 minutes and compose myself, and then chunked it out. I think that's another valuable lesson. Chunk it out step by step. What do I need to know now? Not 10 matches from now. Like, what do I need to know for this match? And just hone in on that.
That is like you. That's really, wow. That's powerful, because what comes to mind is anytime I've been thrown into the deep end in any season of my life, it's God will open the door, but we have to be willing to show up and to almost to be vulnerable enough to have so much fear that I'm like, okay, I'm here, but I'm going to suck. Like, I'm going to suck. And then somehow God's grace carries you through. I can't even tell you how many dreams I've had that, like, I've never even competed in a bikini show, but I'll have a dream like I show up on stage as a bikini competitor and I forgot to work out. And I think it's like God saying, or I show up on stage, or I'm sorry, I show up on set and I forget my lines, and I'm like with these A-list actors. And so I think it's God saying, I will open the doors, but you're not always going to be perfect, but do what you can do to be prepared. And I think that's what right? Because we're going to.
I really messed up a lot. Like, I was learning the job on the job, right? So as the weeks progressed, as the years progressed, there was different changes. It's live TV. I did mess up, but I actually had a very hard time because I was a perfectionist growing up.
Yes.
So I would be beating myself up so much. And sometimes it was something so small, and I would diminish everything else I did that night and just focus on that one mess up. And it taught me a very valuable lesson, though, as time went on. Somebody said this to me. They're like, or it came to me. I don't remember how it came about, but I was like, you know what? Like Michael Jordan, he doesn't make every single free throw. And yet he was, he's known as one of the best basketball players ever, right? Like Tom Brady, he didn't throw every pass was a touchdown, but he's like the best football player ever, right? So I was like, Lilian, it's not about you nailing it every single time. Like, if you have a mess up, it's a mess up. It's okay. You still show up. You keep showing up and you keep trying better and better the next time. And I think for me, especially as a speaker now, I get to show some of those mess ups on stage. I get to show when I fell and I tripped on my entrance, and I got up and I wiped myself off and kept going. Like, these are things that I have a lot of empathy for people, and because I've been through it myself, which is great. And also a powerful lesson. We're human. We have to stop thinking that everything has to be so perfect in order for us to have succeeded in life. We just have to keep showing up.
Amen. Amen. That's such a good note, because I think even as believers, we put that pressure on ourselves because we want to make God proud, and we forget that, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. And in work, in business, in relationships, in home life, in parenting, right? All the things. And it really comes down to a surrendered heart of saying, okay, God, show me your ways, and I surrender my perfectionistic idea of what I should be. Just let you shine through me. And what does God do? He always uses our brokenness to shine the brightest.
Absolutely.
And that's so good about God, right?
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many times, I mean, even what I've been through, just from losing my dad in 2016, losing my mom, and first losing my dad, going through COVID. We all know what that was like, chaotic, financially, just such a hard time. Then losing my mom in 2021. Then at the end of 2021, my marriage, and it was just like so much loss. And the one thing that, who was there? God. And that was the blessing, in that I kind of got stripped away from everything. And it was a friend of mine who extended her hand, who said, hey, you want to go to Mariners with me, which is a non-denominational church. And I didn't know what that was, because I grew up Catholic, and I kind of fell out of my faith in a way, not my direct communication with God, but I did have a struggle where I didn't know if he was too busy for me. I didn't know how to have a relationship with him. So it's been beautiful now learning how to have a relationship with him. And that's what happened when I went to Mariners, and I just completely surrendered. At that point, I was so sad, so broken, so and even 2023, the other thing, I lost my voice live on the air with ESPN, when I was at PFL, couldn't find out for 4 months what was wrong. Ended up not getting signed to the year later. Obviously, they had an announcer with no voice. And I found out later on that it was a gas leak that I had in my house. And I'd been inhaling fumes for 4 months. And I mean, it was weird. I could feel my esophagus. It was the strangest sensation. So it's these things, though. My job needed to get stripped. My everything needed to get stripped so I could finally surrender and get rebuilt. And this 2.0 of me I am so happy. Like, it's been so great. And it's only by the grace of God, and then the people that he's led me into his life. I'm such a better judge of character. I have amazing friends. I have, being a worship leader at my church, and being able to give back in that way, and opening, like some people will hear me sing and they're like, wow, I just felt closer to Jesus because of what I heard you sing. My fans, I share it with my fans online. They're like, oh my gosh, I've never had a relationship with Jesus. And now you're making me curious. So it's just it's a beautiful thing. And it would not have happened had I not had to have all that stripped away from me.
Amen. It's funny. We have a lot in common. So I lost my mom over COVID, went through a divorce in 2020. So very similar to where I was stripped down. And I remember COVID, you can't go anywhere. I just had to sit empty. Lilian, do you know how hard that is?
Yes.
You can't go out. You can't escape. You're stuck. But there was so much healing when I had nowhere to go. And I had no false, I think we grow, like when God strips us and takes everything away, it's because those old identities don't fit anymore. He wants to rebuild you, right? And then when he does that, it's like you said, the 2.0 is stronger, healthier, happier, more joy, right? Richer in every way. Oh, I love that.
People are seeing it. Like I came back to WWE, they're like, you have such a glow about you. I'm like, this isn't just me. Like this is God through me. Like God uses people and he's using me. And I'm just so excited because, that's why I love doing podcasts like this, like speaking inspirational things that I've learned along the way. Someone's going to hear this podcast and they're going to be changed by it. And what better feeling than to leave that and be that. Like, I want my legacy to be that. I want my legacy to be, wow, she made a difference because of what she shared in her life, because of the open book, because of the way she led me to Jesus, because, all these things that she spoke about. I want that. Not just, I love the fact that people love my ring announcing and my singing and all, but it's even bigger than that.
It's to give people hope when they don't know what's next. Because there's so many people suffering in silence, which is why we even started this podcast, is because people feel punished or they're ashamed of their sin or addiction or whatever they're going through. And so that's the whole point of this. And you actually are a motivational speaker now, and you have a huge podcast, right?
Well, I did. So I had Chasing Glory. Okay. And so I had a lot of interviews about the chase for glory, and it was incredible finding out like what people overcome, and mostly were all the WWE superstars. I started with them and then expanded from them. And then in 2021, right after my mom passed, I put the show on hold because it was just too much for me. I knew I was going into PFL that season and I just needed to grieve. It was a lot with my dad, a lot with COVID, a lot with my mom. And so I put the show on hold. And it was my intention was to start it up again, but then my marriage fell apart. Then I needed time to heal from all of that. Yes. Then I had to move, or not had to, but I moved from California, sold everything, left everything there. I moved to my parents' house in South Carolina, and I handled, along with my sister who would come back and forth from Nashville, emptying the house. Like it'd just been sitting there. And so, and by then they had expanded the house to 4,000 square feet. And so imagine, you're talking about how you were alone, right, during COVID. Here I am alone in 4,000 square feet. All my belongings are gone. I have no idea where I'm going next. And just also sitting with my childhood things and going through and suffering and grieving. I said, my gosh, at one point there were 5 people living in this house. That was my parents, my sister, my grandmother, because my grandmother lived with me for the first 14 years of my life. Thank goodness. She was amazing. And now here I was, alone in the house, and talk about crying, talk about releasing. But in that, I also could very clearly hear him. And I did bring my bike from California. I do remember that. And so I'd go for a bike ride like every single day, clear my mind, and put worship music on. And I got to tell you the healing and the healing and the healing that was coming every single day. So it was very valuable, and I'm really grateful for that time. And then that's led me here to Atlanta. And it was wild because when I got here, I'm like, what am I doing here? Jen, what am I doing here? And now it's kind of things are falling into place. It's like I have direct, when Triple H called me to come back, I have direct flights to everywhere. Like Atlanta is such a hub. It's great. It's
Amazing.
great. I fly everywhere and it's like no connections, just direct flight. It's beautiful here. I never knew how beautiful Georgia was. A lot of waterfalls, lots of hiking, lots of biking. It's my type of place because I love being outdoorsy. And I'm meeting such incredible people here. So we'll see what continues to unfold, but I'm really excited about it.
That's amazing. So what's a day in the life of Lilian now that you're there? And like you said, you're not sure if you're going to stay there. You don't think that's your forever, but what's a day in the life?
How are we going to say that? I really don't know. I can't even say if this is my forever or not. I know that I'm loving it here. And I think we get too fixed on, I got to know what the future is. The future, right? As humans, we constantly want to know what the future, and we're not living in the moment.
God says, worry about today. That's it. Just today.
There's a reason he says that. Worry about today, the bread of today, like everything today. How many times have we been in so much anguish for the things that all of a sudden we think are going to happen, and then they never happen. And then you go, oh my gosh, I spent all that time worrying for nothing and lost the joy of today. And I actually want to share something with you that was so powerful. With WWE, I went to Lima, Peru. And I didn't have that much time. I was actually with the Bella twins. And we decided to do a tour of the catacombs. So if you don't know what a catacomb is, and maybe you do, but some of your other people don't, it's literally like an underground grave, but they don't just bury people. It's like they have boxes. In one box, it's like this part of your arm, and the other box is this part of your leg. I mean, it's weird. It's just bones. It's literally boxes of bones. It is wild. And it's like in a cave. And it's under this church. So I remember going and seeing these boxes full of bones of different body parts. And I'm like, this is crazy. And I'm going through it. At the very, very end, there was a well, and it was so deep. And when I looked into the well, it was nothing but skull heads.
Oh my goodness.
Wrapped around. And the first thing that popped into my mind was like, wow, all those skull heads with all that worry, all the nights of not sleeping, all the agony, all the judgment, all the this, all of that, for what?
Right.
For what? Like, that's what we're going to end up. We're all going to be there. Like, we're not going to be in necessarily a catacomb. What's that?
We leave with nothing.
Nothing. And so when I looked at that, I literally said, I am going to stop creating these false stories that are happening in my life. Like, anytime I start getting ahead of myself, I'm always trying to remind myself through scripture, through friends, through church, through worship music, through whatever, stay in the moment. Everything's fine. You're safe. You're safe. You're safe. And I'm telling you, the joy that is, it's just been so much more present in my life.
Oh, that's a good note. I love that, because so many of us, we get to a certain point in our life, we're like, but we're not where we want to be in our expectations. And God is not in a hurry, because he is in the business of refining us through our story, through our character. Like, he doesn't care about accomplishments and accolades and trophies. He cares about our heart, our character, and what we're doing to bring other people to him, to the kingdom. And that's, I mean, when we look at eternal, when we look at through the eye, the eyes of eternity, life is really simple, and we have our lens on the wrong thing. So I love that. I mean, it's very inspiring and very eye-opening to see, like, we're all going to be those dead skulls. We're all going to be rotting bones eventually, right?
That's it. We're just bones. That's it. Right. Like, so if that's where we're going to get to, we're either going to go in ashes, or we're going to be buried underground, or we're going to be in catacomb, whatever it is. It's the same thing. It's the same story. It's the same bones. It's the same structures, right? Why are we going to sit here and just keep worrying and worrying and worrying about things? instead of just really living for the joy of today. And I understand so many people going through so many hard times. I've been through a lot of it. I've been from financial to losing, parents, grandmother, friends, all this kind of stuff. But I also lean in on what's the silver lining of all these things. The silver lining with my dad and my mom, I got to have some precious moments with them all the way to the end. And I got to be there for their transition to the next world. And it was so powerful. I'll never forget. For anyone, there's two main things, if you don't mind me sharing this. For my dad, he passed on Christmas Day. So a lot of people that lose loved ones during the holidays, they then turn around and they feel bad, put it this way. They feel bad for celebrating the holidays. Right. And I think it's the contrary. I actually love Christmas even more. I feel closer to my dad. I'm going to celebrate it more for him. In fact, if I'm not at a Halloween party, I always decorate Halloween night. And if I'm at a Halloween party, I decorate November 1st. Like, I just can't wait to get to that because I feel his spirit. And he was so full of life that I'm just like, Dad, this one's for you. Plus, him passing over the holidays, I think about this. It's the time of Jesus, right? Like, he passed on Jesus' birthday. The party he must have walked into in heaven. That was my dad loved to dance. I was like, what a gift. What a gift. So, I'm like, Dad, man, you know how to go. You know how to go. So, seriously. Right. It's not a doom and gloom thing for me anymore to think about that with my dad. And then with my mom, it was just, a lot of people too have a hard time losing loved ones in their home. And they think, oh my gosh, it's like spooky or something. No, think about it. This is where the portal opens from earth to heaven. The portal opens. The portal in that room opened when my mom transitioned in the room that I was in the house I was in California. And so I would sit in there after she left and I'm like, oh man, a major thing happened here. And I would just meditate and I would pray in there. And I'm like, this is a powerful room. So I want people not to look at it as something spooky or anything like that. It is powerful.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. That's a really good perspective because we will see them again and they are in pure bliss. And that's a really good way because they think of that grief and the loneliness and the emptiness, but there's this, that is a really good perspective.
For people. They show up all the time. They show up all the time. I told my dad, I was like, you need to communicate with the number 8 to me, please, please, please. So boy, does he. And then Mom wanted to one up him and she communicates with the number 9. So trust me, it is wild what I see with the 8 and 9s. But they do communicate. It's been so obvious to me. And you say that a lot when you're about to pass, that you will see people. They'll start seeing people from the afterlife. My dad started seeing his mom, started seeing the little bird that we used to have. My mom started talking to her mother as well. Like, I'm like, oh no, there's no coincidence to that. There is that transition. They are there.
Yes. Oh, I agree. I saw my grandma transition as well as my grandpa, and she was talking to my grandpa. And I believe that.
Yeah.
When they're gone, they're gone. And their spirit is left.
But what a beautiful gift to be able to be there holding their hand or whatever to help them transition in that. And I always say, if you're not able to be there, just know that the people that are on the other side that they keep seeing are there to greet them. So they're never truly alone.
Gosh. Ooh, now I have chills. I never thought of that too. Yeah. What a turn from WWE to talking about transcending into heaven, the portal of heaven, everybody.
There we go. We don't know where these conversations will go, but I love it.
And unfiltered too, which I love. So how can we best support you, and what's in your path now? Like, what's a big prayer? Okay, we're focusing on today, but in your 2.0, the best version of Lilian yet. What is it in your dream, your heart's desire? Is it love? Is it work? Is it just speaking? What is it? What is like your heart's desire?
I feel so grateful that I've had such an amazing career, and I'm so grateful that I'm still at WWE, and I would love to continue to be there. I would love to continue to be able to speak, and anybody that's interested in booking me, please, like, you can go to booking@liliangarcia.com, if for those booking things. But I love all of that, but I also like meeting that right person for me is very important. I love being in a relationship. You know, in the Bible, it literally says it's not good for a man to be alone. Well, I'm a woman. So whether you're a man or you're a woman, it's not good for us to be alone.
Yes.
Right. But I think it's very important to partner yourself up with the right person. I've been single for 3.5 years, and I've really had a lot of discernment. I've had dates along the way that I'm like, nice guys, but not for me. Right. So it's really the prayer that I can be aligned with the right person that really sees my value, and that, you know, vice versa, and that we could both do really good things together, be in alignment to do good for the world, do good for others, and not be all about like me attitude. I can't do that. So I would say prayers, you know, for the right person to come along.
I love that. I will be praying. And yeah, you want your buddy to do life with, to be able to celebrate and travel and open up God's love to others. I will be praying that.
Thank you.
That is so beautiful and so important. And I would love to put on a woman's, I'm sure you've done this already, but as you're speaking, I'm like, oh, you're like my sister. But I would just love to be able to continue to do what you're doing to help encourage, inspire other women. Do you do conferences, or
I
do
would,
you?
yeah. Whenever I'm asked to speak at women's,
Diego, sign
love
us
it.
up. Milena, Lilian. Do you know Milena Ruca?
Oh, I worked with her for many years. I love
Okay,
her.
so she's a client. Okay, so I'm calling it, Diego. We got to put together a women's conference.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I think it's just a powerful thing when you have women that have gone through so much that will be an open book and will share their struggles, because sometimes women think that we have to look so put together and everything's got to be so great. And I think there's just more strength in saying, no, like I was down and I was, you know, in tears on my floor. And I will say, thank goodness for, while I was with my girl group, I have a girl group that every 2 weeks we're on Zoom together. There's about 20 of us, amazing. And all of us are just big believers. And we didn't even know that when we got together. And one of us started talking about God, the other one started talking about God. And all of a sudden, all of us were like, oh my gosh, wait, we're all in sync here. It's amazing. And so we use God a lot in our lives. And it was one of the girls that talked about the War Room, the movie, and with Priscilla. And I was just like, oh, I've never seen this movie. And I got done and I went to Marshall's and I got a beautiful chair and I put it in my closet, and I made this little sanctuary in my closet, and it's my prayer closet. And every morning I start there and I start my day right. I start my day aligned with God first. He empowers me, and I feel like I get the armor put on so I could face the rest of the day. But it would be amazing to do a women's conference and have more women be this vulnerable and share and encourage each other, and just know that there are storms, but they're storms, they will pass.
Amen. Ooh, yes, I love it. I would love that. Diego said, let's do it as long as I'm invited. So of course you're invited, Diego. Yeah,
Yes.
I think there's something powerful when there's an army of women showing up together with vulnerability and authenticity and saying this, like you said, it's not easy. We
Yep.
cannot do it alone. We cannot suffer alone, and we heal because we share each other's stories. And so I just want to thank you for your story and your bravery and showing up, not knowing the stats at that your first day, and being a huge light in that world, because you have so many people that are fans of yours, that adore you, that are rooting for you. And I just am excited to see 2.0 Lilian unfold.
That the fans have been amazing throughout the years. Like seriously, they have held so much love for me, and vice versa. I feel for them. that in my darkest hours, I would get like these beautiful little messages from some of them, and they don't realize how much they helped. Kindness goes a long ways. And sometimes it just takes the smallest words to say to somebody, hey, you know, just thinking of you, or I really liked what you wore yesterday, or you look really pretty, or, you know, your rendition of the national anthem really moved me. Like those little things kept me going, you know, when I was down. So if we could just do that for each other in this world more and more and more, man, I mean, God is waiting for us to do that. He's not going to do it for us. He puts it in our hearts to be kind. It's our choice. And my choice is to put kindness out there.
Amen. Kindness is free. Smiling is free. Encouraging one another is free. Like, let's start.
It makes you feel good. It makes you feel good in the end too. So it's a win-win.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. I love your heart. Lilian, thank you so much. How can our audience find you on social media?
Okay, so I'm at Lilian Garcia, and Lilian is spelled with one L in the middle because it's Spanish. So in Spain, we spell it with one L. So yeah, at Lilian Garcia on Instagram, on Twitter, and then Facebook, it's Lilian Garcia official fan page. But I am mostly on Instagram. That's my main thing. And yeah, I mean, booking at liliangarcia.com if anybody wants to book for the speaking gigs, or go through Diego.
Thank you so much, Lilian. What a pleasure.
You've been awesome. Thank you for doing the show, really. And your questions were great, and just your energy, it's awesome, and it makes me comfortable to open up. So I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.